makes me think a lot of like what the U.S. did in a bunch of the Eastern European countries that are tied to, that had that, 17+1?
Yes.
The whole the multilateral, bilateral thing China was doing with Eastern European countries. And it began the Trump administration. I think the Biden administration kind of carried on, but like just doing very little, just kind of opening up.
Trump meeting with, was it the Romanian president or somebody? There was some...
And it wasn't just the meeting. It was also just like opening up economic dialogue. And that completely shattered, didn't completely shatter, but it really hurt China's grasp on the region. I mean, what did Lithuania just do with Taiwan?
Taiwan is opening a representative office in Lithuania.
Yeah, like that's crazy. And it was just a little bit that the Western world had to do. So it sounds like the same thing is in the Pacific as well. It just doesn't take much.
China's been very good at lighting fires on our turf, causing problems for us. And, it's not hard to light fires on their turf. Everybody can open up a Taiwanese office. Everybody can, get rid of the Confucius Institutes and bring in Taiwanese language teachers. Talk more about Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong, so there's so many things that can be done. Support a guy like Daniel Soudani. That's a problem for Beijing. That's a big problem for Beijing. It's not only the right thing to do, it gives it strategic leverage, right? So right now, it's actually relatively low cost to fight on the political warfare battleground, right? They're winning on the political warfare battleground, but fighting back is not very high cost. It takes a little bit of thought and a bunch of political will. And we lose on political warfare battleground, we are going to go to the kinetic battleground, and that's going to be very high cost.
And that's where lives will be lost, yeah.
How do you think we increase the political will?
So this is all sorts of stuff they were talking about before. I mean, the reason I was a little bit unclear about my support for this statement that, the people don't know. I mean, American people know. The American people, if you go to Amazon, and you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see over and over, is this made in China? Is this made in China? Because people understand that China's strategic weight comes in large part from its economic weight, which comes in large part from us, right? And they don't want to feed that machine. They would prefer to pay 10 cents or $1 more or whatever to buy something. And it may not even be that much more at this point. So getting things like, a place where you can buy stuff where it's not made in China, just little things. And there's congressional legislation to try to get online retailers to list country of origin. That is being fought by Amazon and others. And so, call your congressman or woman and kind of make a statement that this is important to you. So there's the people know the connection into the political system, because there's so much money from Chinese political warfare agents. It's quite strong, but people need to be reelected. So if this becomes a political issue, if you talk to your politicians, your media, if you are aware of how much Chinese political warfare is affecting your daily life, that mask you're wearing, what you're seeing on your social media feed, what you can or can't say on YouTube, then, you can push decision-making in that direction and give the courage to those who need the political will to stand up for this sort of stuff.
Even all the sister city things happening in the U.S.
Yeah, it's got to stop. I mean, who wants to be a sister city with like a genocidal center? Like my sister city.
Mayor of San Francisco.
My sister city is Urumqi.
But that's another thing is, there's discussions about not buying stuff from Xinjiang, okay, because it's, genocide, But that's like saying we're not going to buy it from Dachau, but we'll buy it from Berlin. Like it's all part of the same system.
Oh, yeah. And plus they're already, like sending Uyghurs to work all over China. So plus there's already also prison labor and slave labor from a lot of other non-Uyghurs in China. So it's not...
We need to decouple from China.
We need to, and this is where words are important, de-parasite.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's not a coupling. A couple is like two equal people coming together in a partnership, blah, blah, blah. The Chinese economy is fundamentally parasitic. So it comes in, it sucks out your capital, it sucks out your intellectual property, it sucks out your resources to bring it back to its own state and grow its own state and leave you weakened and defenseless.
So the Chinese Communist Party is like a tick. And if you don't get it early, it'll bury its head in you. And then it's much more difficult to remove without getting Lyme disease.
There is another parasite. I wrote an article about it, and I've got like a terrible memory, so I can't remember what the parasite was, but it's like this incredible parasite that like goes in to make you infertile and like take over your whole system and controls you like a zombie.
Oh, like a cordyceps
Sure.
fungus. It's where it's like it's on ants or other insects, and like it infects and then takes over your brain.
Yes, I'd go more with the zombie analogy than the tick analogy.
Well,
Oh, wow. That's great. Well,
zombie fungus.
So
yeah.
de-zombie from the Chinese economy is more what you're going at. The decoupling.
But so what you're saying is World War Z, the book, is actually based on, it's like a prediction.
It's an economic book. Yeah. Yeah. It's a
That's
book.
what Brad Pitt was trying to tell us about all along.
That's right.
Before they took the source of the infection away from China in the movie.
And the other thing is, I mean, this again is something Carrie Gershanik, who's been on your show, has talked about, is the correct use of language. Like organ harvesting, it's not harvesting. Like it's, this is not the right term to
Organ
use.
pillaging.
It's the forcible removal of organs for profit from living human beings.
How about just killing people for organs?
Yeah. Well, for profit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the element of it.
For fun and profit.
Yeah. It's looking at people as spare parts. We allow this kind of language to obfuscate the horror of the situation, and that reduces political will. So part of the kind of the pushback against political warfare is accurate use of language on these issues.
So instead of involuntary prison labor, we just call it slave labor.
It is.
Well, we do that.
Well, yeah, but I mean for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the idea. No more organ harvesting.
No, harvesting it's just not right. That's
Yeah.
just not. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that terminology ever came into play, actually.
Harvesting. Yeah.
I think probably it seems like organ harvesting itself was like, I think what activists try to do is say it was forced organ harvesting or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
the key is that it's not harvesting. It's
Yeah, and
Yeah.
harvesting implies it's going to grow back.
Right.
Like there'll be another crop next year of livers.
Yeah, I know that some
Well,
tried to
in China,
start
there
using-
is always another crop next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
Because when they were done killing Falun Gong for their organs, they went to Xinjiang and started doing it with the Uyghurs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
think
But surely they'll stop there.
well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing, and understand that if they will do this, if the system has rationalized doing this to their own citizens, they will do this and more to everybody else. That's why there's no compunction about letting a Daniel Soudani die if he's inconvenient. It's not, this doesn't stay within the borders. This is a fundamentally expansionist policy, right? So this is why the Indians know it's not going to stop with a few border posts in Ladakh. Like the goal is, you get to a position of comprehensive national power, number one, which includes strategic hegemony and economic hegemony and political hegemony and psychological. I mean, all of the unrestricted warfare elements, including those three warfares, are to that end. So we have a choice. Do we fight it now on the political warfare front, where it's relatively low cost? It is some cost, but it's relatively low cost. Or do we wait as the zombie grows and expands its army, and then it's those World War II maps come to life again?
Yeah, what I find with trying to tell people about the threat of the Chinese Communist Party is it sounds too extreme for people. It sounds
Too bad to be true.
like, yeah, or it sounds like, oh, well, this is a lot of things people have with like, oh, well, like the Western countries were imperialist or colonial and China is not a colonial power or imperialist power,
Do you think this is still as much of a problem after the coronavirus? I mean, I feel like talking about.
Yes, it's still a problem.
I think
Chris.
it's still a problem. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's still a problem.
Yeah, I was I flew up here and I was sitting next to somebody from El Salvador. They were like, yeah, U.S. wasn't great to us. Like, correct. But that doesn't mean that's okay for other countries to be not great. And in the meantime, you have options now that people in China don't have. And if you want to see what it will be like, look at Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to look. There's a kind of the abstract argument, which, yeah, it's hard to get. It's hard for people to understand how different other people can be. I mean, it's a problem in relationships. Like, you know, you can have somebody who's dating somebody who really sucks, and you're like, they're not going to change. And like, oh no, they'll change. You know, we'll just sign this climate change policy, and they'll be fine. We'll get along. We'll cooperate well. You know, but
we're in an abusive relationship with
yeah,
China.
Yeah, you are in an abusive relationship with China, and a parasitic zombie-like abusive relationship.
Now, you've been saying we for most of this podcast, but that part you said you are in an abusive relationship.
Well, because they've already got us.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're done. But yeah, so using this kind of accurate terminology can help. And when you're having these discussions with people and they say, well, it's not as bad. And then you say, well, explain Hong Kong to me. You know, explain why Tibetan monks are lighting themselves on fire. You know, explain what's happening and why two very different administrations say this is a genocide. So we don't want to see it, but one way of dealing with that, again, this pushback on the political warfare, is accurate terminology based on specific examples. Truth is on our side.